Hey everyone, today's video is sponsored by Fanatical. If you mostly know Fanatical for their amazing PC gaming deals and bundles and Mac and Linux and Steam Deck, well, I'm not surprised because they've been putting together amazing gaming bundles since 2012. I didn't even know there were bundling. Anyone was doing that back then. That's 14 years ago. So they definitely know what they're doing, which is why I'm excited for their Fantasyverse section. There they have comics, they have ebooks, they have graphic novels, they have all kinds of stuff, and I'm pretty jazzed because they are also now expanding their officially licensed TTRPG bundles. Right now, the big one is Monsters and Mayhem. It's a genuinely bonkers haul. Fanatical teamed up with Mongoose for a 101 book collection split into 4 tiers so you can grab whatever fits your budget. You can get 5 books for $1, or you can get all 101. And so they have stuff like Slayer's Guide for deep dives on specific foes and encounter ideas, the quintessential books for character options for players and GMs, and if you're both player and GM, like you have a dual aspect as all solo players do. For solo play, this is basically a library you can loot for enemies, prompts, widgets, whatever you need. Everything redeems through our old friend DriveThruRPG. It's instant delivery. You get lifetime ownership once you download. Just note the keys need to be redeemed before January 2027. And come on, it's February 2026. If you can't do that in 11 months, write a comment. I need to know what's going on. They're gearing up for International Game Masters Day on March 4th with an even bigger selection of tabletop RPG bundles dropping then. My affiliate link is in the description. Using it supports the channel, allows me to provide a life for me and my family. And you also get a great deal either way. For instance, today's video is going to be on all sorts of card games, miniatures game, tabletop of Darktide, an amazing game by Fat Shark that came out in 2022. Say you're like, wow, I really like this stuff. I actually want to see the video game it's based on. Well, just click that link below because you can find Darktide on there currently at 75% off. You can get it for Windows or Steam Deck for $10. So it's basically your one-stop shop. So folks, let's loot the vault. Thank you, Fanatical, for sponsoring the Man Alone channel. Very, very wise. Let's start the video. Hello everybody, welcome to the Man Alone solo role-playing YouTube channel. I am your host, Man Alone, and we've got a packed agenda, so let's get right into it. So, as I pointed out in the little opener there, we're gonna go over many forms of Darktide. Probably the only one we're not gonna get too far into is the video game. I'll give a little explanation of it. But what we're gonna take a look at is first the new card game by Cubicle 7. Then we'll also look at the miniatures game, which I think is a fantastic entry point into miniature games because it's very simple. It has a small footprint and it's a great deal. And then finally, we're going to... Hey friends, sorry, hope that record scratch wasn't super annoying. Just wanted to say, originally when I recorded this video or sat down to do it, my plan was to do the card game, the miniatures game, the tabletop RPG 1 and 2, Wrath and Glory and Imperium Maledictum. I started to do that. I got about a quarter of a way through that, and I was at like an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm just going to do the card game and the miniatures game this time. And then in the next few days, I'll post part 2 of this video where I talk about the tabletop RPGs, and we'll look through them and see how we might approach solo play. But it's worth the wait because I think I have some fun ideas of possibilities for solo play with both of these. So hopefully I remember to edit out everything else. Okay, all right, bye. Enjoy the video, bye. Both this and the miniatures game have a dedicated solo mode. Again, the RPG, we'll have to find our own way on that, but that's okay. I think it's got some good possibilities there. The card game just did come out. It's should be $39.99. I was able to find a copy at my FLGS, my friendly local game store, and I was really excited. And I was thinking to myself, how did I not like pre-order this? I can't believe it. I was so excited about this, and I just completely forgot to pre-order it. And I did forget not to pre-order it. I forgot that I did pre-order it. So I also got that. So this is a sealed copy of Darktide the Card Game, and from also great friend and sponsor of the channel, Noble Knight. It's sealed, it's wrapped, and just because I'm in a giving mood, it's totally altruistic, no interest of my own. I'd like to do a little bit of a giveaway. So, if you would like to be eligible for this, and you're in the US or Canada, you could do it. If you're international, just know I'll probably have to send you something digital because shipping costs as they are. But who knows? Maybe we'll be able to work it out. Maybe there's something, you're in Latvia. How's the shipping to I don't know. But all you need to do is by, let's say Monday, February 16, 2026 by midnight Eastern time. You just need to head over to, there's actually a link for it below. My first video that I posted on my, I keep wanting to call it my side channel, but that sounds like something else that's like side thing. It's a side project channel that I'm just going to post one video a month on. And it is about Warhammer 40K. I assume if you're watching this video, you might be interested in that. You might not be, but either way, I encourage you to give it a try because I think I'm doing something that no other channels are doing, which is why I started a Warhammer channel. I really wouldn't have otherwise. But I'm looking at the abundant symbolism, mythological, esoteric. In this first video, for example, I look at the God Emperor of mankind, and I look at the archetype of the Emperor through a tarot lens, a Jungian lens, and I want to do things in these videos like numerology. I want to look at different myths through time. Like I'm thinking about doing the Imperial Aquila. I'm thinking about doing like the idea of the avenging sun and see if what comes up with that. So there's all kinds of possibility there. But what I would like, just so I know that you're interested, if you can go to that video, it has to be well, it doesn't have to be positive, but just don't say anything like you're not going to win if you say something terrible. But go to that video, and if you could, hey, great video or whatever, but to enter into the video somewhere in your comment, and honestly, the more like nonchalant it is, the better. I just need to be able to like recognize it, so it has to be a whole word. I'd like you to put some kind of lunch meat in your comment. So the comment could be whatever you want. You could just like write the comment and then put salami. That's eligible. But maybe try to figure out how to do it in a way that's like natural. Like I don't know what that'll look like. I'm gonna leave that to you. But on Tuesday morning, I'm gonna print all these out. I'm not gonna. I don't know why I said I'm printing them. I'm gonna send them to BB, and I'm gonna say, which of these comments do you think made the best usage of a lunch meat in the comment? So you gotta, just to give you an idea, this is not an exhaustive list, but you got ham, salami, prosciutto, chicken breast, turkey. You could even break it down like cotto salami, hard salami, Genoa. There's all kinds of salamis, all kinds of ways to win. I would absolutely love to get this game in your hands because, like I said, it does have a solo mode. It's pretty cool. And what I really like about it, we'll check this one out first, is that there's a certain thing that Darktide does really, really well. And I don't know if the miniatures game totally captured it. It does pretty good with like just being a miniature skirmish game. But the card game does what I consider to be the coolest part of this game, which is, first of all, this game has some of, other than maybe like Faster Than Light, some of the best music. And it's not only good music, but they use it in a way that like indicates rising tension, so that when there is like a legion of cultists that just break through the door and start swarming you, you're both terrified and you are just like totally jamming. Like you are rocking along with it because it's just such awesome bass. Um, and the game itself, just to kind of give you an idea of what it's about, we see these were the four main archetypes when the game was released in 2022. There are two more now, maybe more, but I think just two more. I'll talk about that. So you have the Ogren, who is an abhuman. They are absolutely massive and muscle bound, and they have IQs of about 6. The one in Darktide is kind of funny, actually has what's called a bonehead chip, which is an implantation they put in their brain to increase their IQ tons. In fact, it's so high that they're able to count to like 5. And then you have Zealot, which is always my favorite character. You have a Psyker who's able to use Witch Sight and Witch Fire, which is awesome character, but definitely like a support character. And then you have an Astra Militarum soldier. The plot of this is it's a cooperative game. It's one of the few games like first person shooters I play online because it's cooperative. You go in with your squad and you basically are people that were, for whatever reason, going to an Imperium prison, and representatives of an inquisitor pulled you out of the prison ship and were like, here's the deal. This hive city, Tertium, is being overrun by cultists. We later find out it's Nurgle cultists. And you've got a long sentence ahead of you, but every time you deploy to clear out some of this hive, we will shave off a part of your sentence. And of course, the survival rate for this is close to 0. And so you're simultaneously trying to clear out this hive while you're learning more about this cult there, and also sort of whittling down your probably 6,000 year sentence. But what's cool about the video game, is you could update your gear. There's a lot of cosmetic stuff if you're into that. There's really good team compositions. There's also skill trees for all the characters, which is great. So the two characters they've introduced, one of them for me was like a home run. The other one was like, okay. The first one that was a home run was the Adeptus Arbites, which are the characters in 40K that are totally not Judge Dredd. Okay, you think they look like Judge Dredd? What's wrong with you? Get your eyes checked. They're not. Here's a picture of an Adeptus Arbites. Yes, I know, Arbites, whatever. Nobody knows. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it. You know, I can't. I don't see any. Actually, that one on the right might be Judge Dredd. Anyway, so they, in addition to being awesome, they also in the game get like the cyber mastiff that you can command while you're playing. So pretty awesome. The other one is, I think if you play Necromunda, probably cool. Is a hive scum, which like is my least favorite sort of 80s throwback character, which is like, my name's Spike and I've got green hair and I wear a yellow vest and yeah, I've got a chain that I swing around and I'm gonna get one-shotted for sure. Anyways, might be fun. So it's a cool game, pretty easy to pick up. I enjoy it. And so I was pretty excited when the miniatures game came out. It was clearly a sort of gateway game to like Kill Team, which is their core game. It has a lot of Kill Team rules. So if you've wanted to play 40K, but you're like, I don't know, I don't even know how to do this. Again, great way into it. I think it's still like $100, 95 maybe. I was able to find it on eBay, hence why my box for it looks like it was sat on by a New York cab driver for 6 months. But I must say, in the box, you're going to get all of these guys. Now, these are painted by me. All of these guys. So right there, that's 16. And then you will get the Psyker. You will get the Astra Militarum Troop. You will get the Zealot, which is actually these unfortunately they did do like recasts of older models. I wish they had made their own, but still. And then an Ogren. And if you, this is like Pius Vorn from Blackstone Fortress. If you were to buy this right here and this right here, that would be $60, 90, 120, probably get packs 50 each, so like $220. So $100 for all of these. Like these guys are the Nurgle infested sort of warp spawn. I really like, what's this one here? Yeah, this. So you got all different kinds of grotesque things. We'll talk about that, but it's a pretty good deal, and I think you'll see this is like, in addition to these models that you'd pay $220 for, you also are going to get a bunch of cards, the playing board, everything as well. So, card game. Let's clear off some space here. All right, so really nice outer shell here, and inside. The rule book is substantial, but not like too much. But I like, it's 30 pages, and you kind of want, like with a card game, this is just right, because you're like, I don't want this to be 500 pages, but I don't want it to be 3, because that means there's not going to be much game to it. And then for each of the 4 archetypes, you're going to have your playing cards, and you use these little cubes here. I love this because this looks like in a 90s movie what like future drugs look like. Like, hey man, you want some turbo? Hey, how about some turbo? So you use these actually to track like all of your stuff. So here's your reload. Like when you shuffle your deck, each person has like a different character skill and patching up, and then supply card, ranged weapon, melee weapon, your character's token, all of these down here. But essentially when it's all punched out and everything like that, it will look like this, and it's really nice because you got everything right there, and you could put all of your weapons, for instance, like at the beginning of the game, you just get really, really basic stuff. Like you get a shovel for 1 melee. That's what you start the game with. And if you actually take like a level 0 weapon, you'll get an extra point for like a supply. So you can get Medicaid crate, frag grenade, you get a different selection of that. And for the solo rules, you will put 2 characters out. So I haven't punched out yet the Psyker or the Ogren. And then inside you have these larger cards with the different sectors that you play in. Each of them is going to have like a different level of what you gain from them. And so that is, to me, the big appeal of this game is that by gathering material, obedience, and purity, those are stats that signify sort of how useful you are to the Inquisition. over time, you build your characters. And I must say, for a contained card game, like one that's not a living card game that you're going to be adding, maybe they'll make it into that. These are all the different enemies here. Um, it has a lot of different options, and it's pretty exciting because a game that has um, the ability to like equip different things as well as build up your power over time. That's really appealing to me and really what I'm looking for in a card game. I get really bummed out when a card game is like you play it once, it's fun, and there's nothing that is giving you like the itch to play again. That doesn't always have to be a bunch of different weapons and advancement. It could be sort of like if it's just super fun, like with Alfred Valley's latest game, it's this many cards, but there's so many different combinations. This is a sure shot for me though. If you got like lots of different options, and what I like is whatever character you select, you actually get a deck for them, so they have specific cards that are related to their actions. And this is what makes this game kind of snappy and fun, is that what you're actually trying to do is like combo these diagrams together. So the more like diagrams that you can piece together in a row, like these two here, and then you want another one that is a scalpel. And when you're playing solo, by the way, you can like chain your first. Jeez, this light right here is not doing us any favors, huh? You could like chain your first the last card of one character onto the first card of another, and they're going to have different effects like cover fire, defense, etc. And then there's going to be, for each area, there's going to be different levels of events. So let me actually tidy these up. Yeah, so this is great. Let me try to get a little bit more je ne sais. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so yeah, so you have the four archetypes, actions for each of them: veteran, Ogren, zealot, psyker. Each of them have different weapons. I know that there is a how to play video that is done by a really nice guy. He's already done 3 episodes. Dale's like easygoing gaming. I will say, and this is just my preference, just if you have a similar preference to me, he goes through every card at the beginning of the video. For me, a big part of the delight of advancement games is like being surprised by the new weapons and stuff I get. So I'll quickly show you those, but I'm not going to say like what everything does or name the weapons. You could just see how it kind of progresses. Is that at the beginning of the game, you're either going to, you have a certain amount of points to spend on your starting weapons, which is next to nothing. So it basically means you're going to get either 2 of your level 0 weapons, one of them ranged, and you can see that's like the ranged mark, one of them melee, and some of them will have combo effects. That means like when you combo this many cards together, you gain an extra stamina. Stamina is one of the chips that allows you to activate abilities. And then some have um, ongoing effects that'll be like the first time in combat that you what was it for the axe? The first time it's used, you get like +2 damage on your attack or something like that. So a persistent effect. So you're really looking to chain as many things together as possible. And the weapons get progressively a lot better, the more effects to them. And every character will have the 2 junk level 0 weapons, and then 3 level 1 weapons, 3 level 2 weapons, 4 level 2 weapons, and then 2 of their best like level 3 weapons. In addition to that, there's a whole boatload here of supply cards. And at the beginning of the game, I think you deal out, I can't remember what it is. It's something like 5 or 6. And if you're playing in a group, you would put those face up and have people like pick 1 or 2 of them or something, and then put the other ones back. So some of them are actual supplies like Medicaid kits, grenades, and some of them are like, this is a saintly fragment. Discard to activate your archetype ability at no cost. Guardian Nocturnus. Discard when you would be reduced to 0 toughness, like HP. You do not go down, and set your toughness to 1. And so those are little sort of mostly consumables or equipable things that can give you an extra boost. And using them will determine the sort of difficulty of your next wave. And I suppose that's what I should explain next. And remember, I said that this game captures something that is so special and fun about Darktide. And what I really like about this was I wasn't expecting, like, I didn't think of this. And so the fact that they set it up like this, if I were to say, oh, how are they going to like simulate that you have to take on these waves of enemies? This is how that happens. So really quick, this is also something I really like, is that there are cards that are marked with ones like Roman numeral 1 and 2. And there's also a list of events, sectors, bosses, enemies, etc., that you take out of the game to start, and you add them back in when you like get to that level, which is, for me, again, great. Anything that I have, like stuff that I can have revealed to me, that is very motivating to me. So there's like, you start with the stuff that has, I think it's like letter B for beginner on it. And then anything that has Roman numerals 1 or 2 here, you're going to remove to start the game. Oh, also, one of the things I noticed, and I confirm this online in case you do have the game, is that one of the cards it tells you to remove in campaign 2 is called the Plague Spreads, and that card, nobody has it. It's missing. So there is one called the Plague Ogren, but that doesn't seem to be the same one. So it's a misprint. There's a few misprints in the book. Hopefully they'll have an updated PDF soon. All right, so this is essentially because it is the first mission. We have, actually, see if I can move. It's a little bit tough to see, but up top here, see if that's not really, but we have the mission tracker, and this is just saying like the stability of the hive, materials, obedience, purity, and this is what's going to represent our rising respect with like the Inquisitors. And then this is the reinforcement level for the mission, so that'll be at 0. And this is, it actually starts, I think, at +0 here, because it has to go up twice to get to 1, and then etc. It goes 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. Don't worry about that. This is the defense, and your squad defense starts at 4. These are tokens for like your character. I don't think they matter that much if you're playing solo, because you're going to be controlling both characters. This would say like your turn is done. There's some sort of, I guess, like trigger discipline in the game about starting and stopping at the right time when everybody is done. And essentially, we're going to make some decisions as a team. So like as a solo team, I gotta take all my bicameral mind here, and I gotta get a vote. So we start with taking 3 sectors. And again, if we were playing with a group, we would look at these and decide which one we want to go to, right? And so you make that decision based on a couple of things. Say if you want to raise a certain level. These are actually pretty similar, other than the 0 and 1 between material and obedience are the same. The final event is listed here, and you would actually go through the final event cards to locate the one that matches your whatever that final event is. And then each of them have like a little bit of a toggle. So this one, for instance, if we chose Vigil Station Oblivion, would raise our reinforcements +1. And reinforcements are essentially calculated for each mission, and there's different difficulty levels and how many players you have. There's a table in the instruction guide which sort of levels out how many enemies are going to fill into the tide each round. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second, the actual tide, but this is the table. And so we can see, for example, that the mission 1 reinforcement modifier +0, we have 3 normal events here. And these are sort of each round. These will modify the situation, add some different challenges or set limits on what can be used or something like that. 3 normal, 3 hard, 0 extreme events, but there'll always be a final event. And so before we decide which one we're going to choose here, let's look at the other factors involved. So these are the elite and boss enemies. We can pull out whichever one we need to when we find out like what the final event is. For the supplies, we have a stock of 6 supplies, and those, just pull 6 out here. We'll take a look at those in a moment. And then you put the other ones like in the box. You replenish those when you use the supplies from these 6. And like I said, you can start with your 0 weapons, which you'd have for the Zealot. They have 3 toughness. And so their 0 weapon would be the Shredder Auto Pistol, which is ranged attack, and whenever you give covering fire, you gain +1 defense, and this is your defense rating. So I'd probably put that. It's a little bit of a wait. No, it's like the axis of this camera is inverted, but only in some directions. Okay, yeah. So like they have you put the underlying number, your HP is 3, and then they have you put another one here just to represent like the max. You can't go any further than that. Your deck goes here. Your stamina chips will go here that you can use to activate your different abilities. But I'm going to put my ranged weapon right there, and then my melee weapon, whenever I combo, I gain a stamina at that level. My supply card can go over here. And similarly for the veteran, I would have, it's probably the same thing. Yep, gain 1 stamina with a Munitorum shovel for a melee weapon. It's a little tight here because I was trying to get everything on camera, but it was all in vain. And then, yeah, the Shredder pistol is the same thing. So these two have pretty much the same starting loadout, which would not be the case for the Psyker and the Augur, and they probably have something different. However, you can add stuff up to your total trust. And what that means is that your trust is equal to your mission. So each player equal to or less than your mission. So this is mission 1, which means that each player has 1 trust. And so what you could do with that 1 trust is you can upgrade one of your weapons to like the level 1 version. For instance, the veteran here would have a Katachan blade, which has slightly better stats. The Zealot would have a chainsword, pretty cool, different effects. Or if I don't spend that, I can add +1 to my, I get +1 stamina to start, and I also add +1 to defense, which is pretty important. So I'll say that just because I want to get to the next game actually, I'll just try to add 1 melee to the Zealot, and what do we add? Lasgun to the veteran, that the first time this weapon activates each round it deals +2 damage. So those are my 2 trusts that I spent here. My defense is 4. And so given that, it really doesn't give me too much information. I wasn't expecting it to. It's early in the game. And so as far as the sector, deploy 2 scab stalker enemies to the tide during mission setup. Intel supply cards cannot be used in this mission. +1 reinforcement. So none of them really that good, but why don't we try the Comsplex 154-2F. Okay, so these were the 6 supply cards in our stockpile during mission setup, and they have like kind of a quick guide in the back for each round. Yeah, I like this. See above. It's the top of the page. I also found somewhere where it says maximoim, and I definitely identify with mistyping the word maximum as maximoim. Okay. So, to give you an idea of how this is going to go, just because I know with the space here it might not pan out as perfectly here, but essentially I'm going to take my deck for each of these, each of my characters, and at the beginning of each round I deal out 4 cards, and that's my hand. And you use or lose whatever you have in your hand. So you're looking to put together like the best possible chain. But the thing is that it's not always so easy, because sometimes like it's not always just the case of, oh, well, this is going to allow me to like daisy chain the most cards together. This is nice because I could do all 4, but maybe I don't want to do that. And especially because the entire mechanic of this game is sort of like, if you imagine this as a Tetris board, we're going to have enemies that are going to come in each round at however much the reinforcements level is. So because it's mission 1 and we have 2 players, the base number is 2, and we didn't select the mission with the +1 reinforcement, and I believe that would have only like put it up to the higher 0.0, which means it doesn't matter. You'd figure it out if you had it. So I would flip this, and for reinforcements it just says this figurine right here, so that just means whatever the base number is. And so it says, after deploying enemy reinforcements, deploy the scab shotgunner elite enemy. So this is tough because I have to deploy 2 scab stalker enemies to the tide during mission setup. And so in addition to the 2 basic enemies, I have the scab stalker, and they always go top to bottom, front to back. And let me... I'm a little unclear on like what order I put these in. I just assume that it's like whatever order it is revealed to me. That seems to make the most sense. So the scab stalker here. Now, if I was playing with more than 2 characters or more than solo mode, it's always going to be 7 by 3 for normal mode, but for solo mode, it's only 7 by 2 rows, which is a lot more manageable. Okay. So that is what the sector, that's the challenge here, is that this is like we've gone into their base of operations. So there's 2 scab stalkers here that are already approaching us. And then we have from the event itself, we have after deploying enemy reinforcements. So we now shuffle the enemy deck and we deploy however many reinforcements are due this round, which again is based on the amount of player characters there are, whatever the reinforcement modifier is, anything the card says, anything the sector says, etc. And so for us, it's just 2. So that means we have a scab sniper and a scab bruiser. And then on top of that, now we have to deploy the shotgunner elite enemy. And this is kind of cool actually, because you always go top to bottom. They take up 2 rows, which I think is pretty fun. So it's kind of, and it has like Tetris physics. So if I take out this scab stalker right here, this guy the next round will like fall down and then we redeploy. Okay. And think of this as like the barricade against that. It's got 4 strength. And before I start, I'm also, the last thing I'm going to do before I just put this stuff aside here, get it out of the way. We want to kind of keep the enemy cards handy because we're going to be redeploying them. But the 6 supply cards that I drew, I have a Medicaid crate. Equip with 3 damage tokens on this card. Discard the card at the end of the mission. Any player can discard 1 damage token from this card during their turn. If they do, activate their reload ability at no cost, which is really interesting. Shuffle your discard pile into your deck. That's interesting that a Medicaid crate does that instead of giving you toughness, but whatever. Frag grenade, discard to destroy a single horde enemy or deal 1 damage to each of 3 adjacent enemies. That's really nice. This one is an intel, sector scouted, replace a hard event with a normal event. That's interesting. Replace a hard event with an extreme event, but you get a resource of your choice. Replace an extreme event with a hard event and kill the mutant. Gain +1 purity if you successfully complete the mission, but I have to replace a normal event with a hard event. Well, let's do just the Medicaid crate and the frag grenade this time, sort of like keep things kind of copacetic. The older I get, the less I know what a copacetic actually means. And there are 3 types of supplies. There are equipment. These give players extra one-time use abilities. Intel, they decrease difficulty. And duty, these always increase the difficulty, but come with a reward. So then I would just use my cards for each of my characters to try to put together the best attack that I can. And anybody then who is pretty much not eliminated by this is going to attack. All right. Now, this right here has reinforcements as well. And so the next round, if I don't take out the scab stalker, that's going to have +1 reinforcement, +1 reinforcement, plus n, which is whatever number it is, which is 2. So if I don't take these guys out, and I'm not going to play through the round because I want to get to the next game, but if I don't take these guys out, then I would have to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new guys. So I would almost certainly have to use that frag grenade right away. But just sort of looking at the zealot here, activate your ranged weapon, activate your melee weapon, gain 1 defense or 1 stamina, and then take cover. Oh, I'd have to go like this. Yep. No. I'd have to go. See, it's a little bit of a puzzle. There we go. So any melee weapons that are activated would do damage to the melee row right here. And any ranged weapons will do any damage to anyone in the second column, sorry, not row, column or back. Now, if you're in a situation where pretend that these guys are gone and it's only here and you activate your ranged weapon, that actually activates covering fire. You don't do any damage, but it will kick up your defense by 1. So this is where I'm forgetting which game is like this, but essentially I'm just trying to take out as many of these guys as I can with both my characters. And if I don't, they will inflict their damage. All right. And they also have modifiers. So like these 2 wounds, I have to hit them for 2 and they do 2 damage. So you just think of them as like, 2, right? And they are, also have a certain amount of wounds. Then they also have the reinforcements and they will have modifiers. For instance, the Scab Bruiser will deal +2 damage in melee. And so the way that you know that this is a melee fighter is that their damage is 0. So like, unless they're right up front, they're not going to do anything. So I'm not going to worry about the Bruiser. This is damage 1, but this enemy deals damage directly to the last player. That's kind of interesting. that sucks for if you're playing with a group of people, like who goes last. But they're going to hit for 1. I really need to take this guy out, but he's 5 wounds. So as far as stamina goes, this is a bit interesting here. As you improve your abilities, right now it says 3, 3, 5. You'll lower your rating of each of these, and that just means how many stamina you have to spend to do them. So it's very unlikely I'm going to be able to chastise the wicked, but if I were, I would add the top card of your action deck to the end of your combo. If the combo symbols do not match, lose 1 toughness. You may repeat this effect until you go down. I love that. I love the zealot. And then this one is 3 stamina tokens. So I guess let's just see what happens here. So I'll push my defense up with take cover. I will activate my melee weapon. If your finisher card is in your discard pile, return it to your hand. If I get 3 combo. Okay. I don't have a discard pile. So I'll do 1 damage. And that's a melee weapon. So I would just do... How many wounds do they have? Doesn't really matter. But I don't want this guy to come up if possible. So I will do 1 damage to there. And then gain another defense. And then I activate my ranged weapon. And my ranged weapon is when you covering fire, gain +1 defense. We're not going to do that. I'll deal 1 damage here. So that'll put a wound on this fella, and he's got 1 wound left. And that's pretty good. We got some defense here. This will like soak. It'll absorb the attacks before it goes on to the character, unless there's a direct damage here, like with the sniper. Now, I'm not sure if I assume that I can use my supply, but that's that Medicaid crate. We're not going to use that right now. And then I would check out the veteran. So for this one has like 2 options. And I just want to look for one thing here. It's the last thing I'll show you, is that some of these cards have... This means it's like a wild card if it has the Imperial Aquila. And I don't know if he has any of the... Yeah. So this is a finisher. Whenever you put that down, it could be put on the end of any chain. But when you do that, it's like the combo's over, but you can it's like a devastating blow. Which, by the way, actually I can chain onto this, because that was how this went. I forgot about this. So I forgot how this went. I did 1 defense, 1 stamina, then I did my ranged weapon, I guess. Must be. And then I did my melee weapon, and then I got 1 more stamina. So now I can also chain it onto this, and I can activate my ranged weapon. And so I would hit that guy to take him out. My ranged weapon, the first time this weapon activates, it deals +2. Darn. So maybe I would actually do this, because I would want to get 3 damage on this scab shotgunner here to take advantage of that. Discard this card to destroy a single horde enemy, or 1 damage to each of 3 adjacent enemies. See, I could use that, because if I did that, it would... Let's see if I can gain 1 defense, take cover, burst fire. So, okay, so right here, I would do 1 shot on this guy. Then I would discard the frag grenade, and that would hit all of these guys for 1. So that takes that out. But, all right. And then I would have to just gain defense, because, Lord, they're coming. So I guess, darn, I only get 1 of these, I guess. So I would use this one, kick that up. And then the round would be over for me, and they would go up. And I'm not sure actually if they would move up right now or if they would hit from where they're at. But either way, they would do their damage to me, assuming that they moved up. When the first player is chosen each round, they take 2 direct damage. Wow, that's a really tough enemy. So I should have taken like the zealot should have taken 2 damage directly, which would have put him down to 1 when the first player is chosen. Wow. Well, anyways, you'd think of them just being like, right, and then you'd call more reinforcements and so on. Let's look at the miniatures game. What a lot of combos here. Gain 1 stamina. Well, to you, we're about to do the miniatures game. I'm gonna play this out a little. That didn't take long. I died. Oh, and now that like the true viewers are here, to actually enter the contest to win this, your comment should include the title of a Rick Moranis or John Candy movie. Okay, you can like throw some cover by putting a lunch meat in there too, but that's the real criteria. All right, so I believe it's 2024 that the miniatures game came out. Generally, I think the consensus on it was that it was a fun game, could provide a good 8 hours of playtime. That was like one of the positive things, is that it took 2 or 3 hours to complete one of the missions of the campaign, and there's 3 rounds per mission, and there are 6 missions. And so obviously, again, this is a gateway to Kill Team, which if you are looking to get into 40K, I found that Kill Team is a good way to do it so that you don't have to get a pool table sized like miniatures game going. You can buy an entire army of Kill Team. Like right here, I have Deathwatch Kill Team. It's 5 figurines. Miniature. You could say figurines, right? Yeah, so Deathwatch are kind of beefy Space Marines. Well, they're regular Space Marines, but I'm saying compared to other kill teams, usually they're like 10 characters, but you buy them all in one box, and it's like $60 rather than trying to put together a 1,000-point army. And the play space is not too much bigger than what we see here. They also have, as far as the last edition, solo rules for it as well. So, but if you're even a bit like, I don't know about that, I think this is good. This has a, I think it actually works really, really well as a solo game, and I'm thinking most people probably play it solo. So this is going to be unexpected for most people who are used to just board games. Is before you even start, you're going to open up and you're going to see a bunch of, I think in this case, like usually they're gray, but I think this one's green, and it's going to give you instructions. They are, these ones I don't even think are snap fit. I think you do have to glue them. Well, gluing them is a lot better because snap fit is like the bane of my existence. And yeah, so like if you're really good, that's what they'll look like. If you can open yourself up, yeah, use glue. To this, I couldn't stand this when I first started the hobby, and now I like think about the next miniatures I can get sometimes all day. You're going to get a bunch of tokens with it. You'll get 10 dice. You get line of sight markers here so that you can judge to see if your shot is open. And these are one of the actions you can do is looting. And so these are all the different like loot cards you can get. Pretty boring looking, but who cares about that? Because really what you want is like the equipment and stuff on them. So I'm definitely a big fan of that. These are activation cards that are going to determine initiative. And there was a time when I thought this would be kind of cool to combine with like the tabletop game, but I think the consensus of everybody I introduced that idea to was like, that's going to be very difficult. So that's equipment. These are upgrades. Your characters can get like different upgrades, level up, psyker upgrade. This operative can now perform shroud. If the operative has the shroud token, remove it. So, cloaking. So yeah. So this is good. Like there's variety here. The other consensus thing was that there's just not enough variety. I mean, if you looked at all the different characters in the Darktide card game, that's not all of them that are in the video game, but that's like pretty good loadout of them. And there's just so many fun characters in Darktide. And yeah, you're going to get a couple different types of like trader guardsmen here. You'll get like a sniper, and you'll get maybe, I think this is like a sergeant, maybe there's a grenadier. That's fun. And then you'll get the poxwalkers, but that's it. I'll tell you what could have just like, if you didn't add a whole, like a new faction or anything, if you just added one thing, it would be cool to have like a boss. That's what was really missing, was like, because it's like, oh, you fought 3 trader guardsmen, well, now get ready, because now you have to fight 4, and you're like, very cool, very cool. I will say that the 40K community is always good for the following. Somebody made like a bunch of additional ones for a lot of different variety of enemies, which most of these, I love this. They originally started with just those 2, and then they just kept going. Chaos Space Marine here, so you could certainly add variety on your own. I think the Trader Ogren is one of the coolest. So here's like the one from your team, very cool. And then this one has like a chaos star through him. Is that not so rad? And then you have the Trader Commissar, which how could you as a Commissar? I like the Power Fist. What I would love, and what I could probably put together, I don't know if I could graphic design it, but yeah, this would be like a Chaos Space Marine. That's a firstborn. And I would love to see for the heroes to get Inquisitor Greyfax. That'd be awesome. Anyways, things are as they are. So you're going to have whatever heroes you choose. You're going to get their data cards, and it looks a lot less confusing, I'll say, than the first time I ever looked at a 40K data card. Each of them are going to have 2 main attacks, and are going to have different hit thresholds. And basically, if you're not familiar with how this works, pretty consistent with a few changes across games. But I'll say like your las pistol has range 4, and it hits on 3+, and you have 4 attacks. So that means you take 4 dice, and any of them that are 3 or higher are attacks. All right. And then if you crit, it's a 3. And just kind of like the card game, whatever you choose, you'll lay it flat, and then you could put your upgrade. You could have 2 upgrades at a time and 2 equipment. This is a common thing. It's not going to matter as much in this game, which is keywords. Sometimes there are things that only affect certain keywords, but all of yours are going to be Kill Team Psyker, Kill Team Zealot, Kill Team Ogren, Kill Team Veteran. And then there is some variety between the different Poxwalkers and Mobian troops, but it's not too exciting. Although they will get a little bit stronger over time. I think the best thing about this game, despite anything else you hear that might dissuade you about it, I just really do think that if you are curious about getting a game that you'll actually play and feel competent with, this is the one. So it has a really nice overview of Hive Tertium on, what is the planet called? Something Prime, Atoma Prime. Overview here. And then it's going to show you how the different tiles work. And it's really, really simple. Another thing that is a barrier to entry for a lot of people in miniatures games is like, you really, in addition to even having to bring yourself to glue together a model, let alone paint it, etc., is like, oh, now I need terrain. And you can use shoe boxes and stuff like that. But you know, if you want some like immersion, you're like, okay, great. So now do I have to pay $60 to buy a bunch of this stuff? This also fantastic is that you just have, these are little wound chips here. You're going to lay out the board and then you'll have different things like this right here is heavy terrain. You cannot move into heavy terrain and line of sight cannot go through it. So if you're trying to shoot someone over here, it's blocked. And then there's light terrain, which just means that if you're moving through it, like any part touching this line right here, it will take 2 move actions instead of 1. So it's like sticky. And then they'll give you some other stuff here to indicate wounds, line of sight, as well as objectives. So some of the missions are going to be like wipe everyone out. Some of the missions are going to be like go pick up this comms tablet on the other end, and sometimes it'll be like escort missions and stuff like that. So there's a variety in what you have to do and what the win conditions are for each one. And it's really simple to set up, but even better than simple is that it fits in an area where you don't have to like tell the kids to eat in their, you know, go eat dinner in your bed, go lay in your bed and eat your dinner tonight. I'm playing Darktide. It's like, this is fantastic as well for solo play. It's showing the threat principle. Yeah, shows the threat principle here, and it just talks about like if your mom doesn't eat for a few days, you know, you got to stay away from her. It's not funny, you know. It's hard to be a mom. Happy Mother's Day in case you're watching 5 months from now. But what I do like about the explaining this is, again, this is really in service of solo play as well as cooperative play. This game you could play with 2 people, and because it's made that way, you're not going to have, you could have another person who's playing sort of the GM and moving the enemies around, but otherwise you're going to be playing on the same team, or you're playing solo, and it's telling you how do you determine like what does the enemy do, when do they attack you, who do they move towards, etc. You are going to have a prepare phase where you set up the kill zone, not to be confused with chill zone. You could choose to loot, heal, or scout. When you scout, you could take like additional initiative cards, and essentially, much like Dragonbane, for example, you'll have all the initiative cards, and I think which ones, yeah. And so if you have kill team operatives, right? And then these are all the enemies here, and say that you are like, yeah, I have 2 characters and I have this many guys I'm against. You'll shuffle them up, and then you will go when it's, this would be really bad. I didn't shuffle it with spit. Oh my gosh. So yeah, you wouldn't go till then. So you would just get obliterati. And there's different things you do, like scouting allows you to sort of scry the initiative. And then actions, you have move. Dash is like a double move. Pass if you're lazy. Melee, ranged rules, and then the campaign. And again, really nice overview. Beautiful art as always. Man, I don't know what it is, but the paper feels so good. They don't make it like this anymore, not since 2024. And they'll also have different things for where your characters can start, where the enemies start, and where spawning is, because each round there might be some missions that have spawns, where each round you have to roll to see if more enemies like fill up. So yeah, this one right here, mission 1 is cleanse, and this is a great example. Like this is your board, and it's a full board, and there are 4 of these total, and each of them are double-sided, and so you have 8 boards. And mathematicians, that is how many possibilities? Is that 8 factorial? No, it's got to be 4 factorial. No, I don't know. There's not, though, because some of them don't fit together. So you just, again, a little bit of a missed opportunity, but this is very common. I've noticed in 40K boards is like, they're like, oh, this one, let's make it different. Let's make it that, like junk. And it's like, well, it kind of looks the same, but I get it too. Like it has to be pretty flexible. So you just look at like there's small distinguishing factors here. This one has like something in the middle here. Gosh. Yeah, and that's your first mission playing board. It doesn't get too much more complicated than that. I mean, some of them, like the biggest one would be all 4 of them next to each other. Some of them will be like 3 like that, but I don't know. Like to me, I was just like, I can definitely handle this. You know, I had just started playing. I'd been reading the lore for a long time and then collecting and painting, and I was like, I want to try to play, but I felt nervous. Like if anyone's ever gone in a casino for the first time and sat at a table when you never did that before, you're like, I don't know, but of course, playing 40K is nothing like that because there's not, somebody who's on their sweet 16 of divorces sitting across from you ready to throw their glass at your head. It's like people are really nice, really helpful. But this was great because it just gave me the basic rhythm of play. And then you would just look to see where the deployment is, which characters are where, and you would decide where you go on the board. So yeah, I'm not going to actually play through this because I do want to get to the RPG before we get into this hour already. Okay, that's all right. No, it's not all right, and I should be ashamed of myself for ever thinking that I could take up this much of your precious time. So, I'm going to post the second part of this video as soon as I can, going over Wrath and Glory and Imperium Maledictum, just the rule system, and what my thoughts are about solo play. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. I do think one of the two is the way, the truth, and the light. But other than that, everyone enjoy your macaroni and cheese is ready. Don't you remember? You made macaroni and cheese. Goodbye.